speech today against Iran. So come on up.
Fellow Toastmasters, in this, for my speech, for my fourth speech project, the speech title is Why and How to Get Education After You Get Your Degree. So the general perception is the degree is same as the education. In mathematical terms, degree is not equal to education. This is what I contend. You can look at it from the other perspective also. Degree gives you, it can open up at the most few doors. You can land a job if you are lucky. And education has a potential to give you a meaningful life, a balanced life. So life is not just job, it is more than job. Just as degree is not just education, because education is more than the degree. So in this speech, I want to share with you how I plan to, and I'm using after my degree, I'm maintaining my education after my degree. So to set the context, recently I was reading a book by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In one of the chapters, the author poses a question: did you get a degree or education? As if degree is not equal to education. And that's what he gave his personal example, how he crammed through undergraduate course and landed at Harvard, but that proved too costly for him. He ended up in hospital just because of his ways to cram mark through the education and try to shortcut the education. But usually I have found out that all those, those instant gratification things that we do when we are in school and college, in the long term of life, they turn out to be delayed trauma. So there is definitely a mismatch between interpreting whether degree is education or education. Are they equal or education is more than that? So Stephen also mentions in his book a concept like what he calls the law of the farm. You see, a farmer, if he is in a particular season and season is for 6 months, he needs to work through 6 months. He cannot enjoy the life 5 months and then the last month he sows the seed, waters day and night, right? Puts in all insecticide, pesticide, and then expects a bumper crop at the end of the month. That doesn't happen. But unfortunately, in the business of education, this is precisely what we do not do. We do not follow, we do not pay the price of going through the education. We do not apply the law of farm to the education. And that's why there is a mismatch between what degree can give us and what education can give us. So the question is there a correlation between getting a degree and education and our ability to learn on day-to-day basis, which is so vital for any job profile you get? So I was debating about, I was not sure whether there is a correlation or not, when I came across this idea from Albert Einstein. He wrote in one of the papers, the only thing that interferes with my learning is my education. Now, if a person of intelligence like Albert Einstein thinks that the education has some role to play in whatever we are learning on day-to-day basis, then where do we stand? And I asked myself, where do I stand? So the more I thought about it, more uncomfortable I became, because I realized what I have done in my school and college times. So I do not want to present a laundry list of all the sins of studenthood at this point of time. Suffice it would be to say that I did try to cram my way out of the school system. So what price that is going to cost me, that's what I'm constantly thinking these days. So in order to really make this idea part of my inner course so that I continue learning, I want to share with you another good idea by Henry Ford. Anyone who stops learning is old. And who wants to get old? Whether at 20 or 80, anyone who keeps learning stays young. The greatest thing in life is to keep your mind young. So, if education is a lifelong process, the main question is, how do we keep our mind young in this crazy lifestyle where we have less and less of time for our own personal development? How do we keep our mind young? The more I thought about it, more I realized that the technology may provide us an answer. Technology in general and internet in particular may provide us an answer. Most of the time when we talk about education, usually we end up talking about there are two kinds of people who believe in brick and mortar mindset, which I believe means that for getting education, you need to get enrolled in a school, college. You need to have a system where you physically go somewhere. There's an assigned teacher, you sit in a classroom, you spend a certain amount of money, certain amount of time, you get your degree. But this model doesn't work when we are talking about daily learning. I cannot afford to get enrolled for, say, 10 different courses because just I have an idea of learning 10 different things. So that doesn't work out. At least it didn't work for me. So here are the two things that work for me. And that's what I'm going to share. Those two things and how I benefited from those two things. The two things that I want to talk about here now are edX and Coursera. How many of you have heard of edX? edX is written as ED. edX. Mathematically, as you know, X stands for some variable. ED is for education. This idea was put forward by MIT and Harvard. The basic idea is that whatever teaching faculty and expertise is available at the top universities in the United States, MIT, Harvard, Princeton, UCLA, Berkeley, all those really brilliant people out there, they found this idea. You can go to edx.org to find out more. They are taking the classroom where students are. It's not the other way around because there is a physical limit to the number of people who can go to these top-notch universities. And what you can study at these universities, the other one is course. Coursera.org. This is an education company. This is a non-profit organization. More than 2.4 million students are involved, spread over 4 continents, and probably more than 67 universities across the world, including United States. What you can study here? Any subject, you name it, it is there. From the history of the world to the mystery and chemistry of the atom, electron, protons, you can find it there. Electrical engineering, you can study. Anthropology to biology, to neuroscience, to neurophysiology. Any topic you name, it is there. And the course varies from 6 to 12 weeks. And basically, this concept is, what I personally believe, is like fun and learn part. The fun part of these online courses is, you enroll into the course, you go there, attend the class for a week. No, this is not for me. Move on. All you need is an email address. It is free. Free education by the top professors in the world. Imagine an MIT professor giving you a lecture in the privacy of your bedroom. You may be sitting in your couch and enjoying and learning that thing. From where you can get that kind of international class education. Free. Similarly for the Coursera. So now, I want to talk about quickly about the two different things that I did in these institutions, these online courses to benefit from. The first example is of the edX, what I did there, about the public school system I want to talk about. My son is a 5th grader, and I constantly worry about what he's going to do in his life, his education, what he will be. Because I believe that the public school education, I don't want to comment about how they are doing, why they are doing, But in the United States, this is my opinion for the last 8 or 10 years I'm here, that our public school system is not preparing students for 21st century. It's not preparing to deal with the pressures of the 21st knowledge economy. It's just not there. You look at any study which says the number of students studying mathematics and computer science is declining. Small countries like even South Korea, they are years ahead, decades ahead. Small countries like Hong Kong, Singapore, they are like probably 15 years ahead in terms of what they are doing with their science and mathematics. I recently went to the Department of Education website. I wanted to see what my son is going to study in science. There is a notice out there which says, reading, mathematics, and science. They evaluate students for what they call Ohio Achievement Test. And there's a notice saying the writing exam has been discontinued. This is an indicator of things to come. Someone, for some reasons, lack of funds, or there could be 1,000 more reasons, someone decided that writing is something students can manage well. There's no need to evaluate. It's just a matter of time before some other subjects. So if there is a debate between maths and reading, someone said, no, reading is necessary, because if you read only, then you can do the maths. Somebody said, no, let's go for maths. Reading you can manage somehow. So you see, there are so many factors which determine what students receives in their school system. So the school system, going forward with the declining economy and other factors, we cannot expect so much from the role. It is the parents' job to assume the primary responsibility. So gone are those days when school played the primary roles and teachers and the parents filled in the role. Now it's the parents' job to take the primary role. School is going to assist you whatever you want your kids to do. So schools are playing secondary role. So my degree didn't prepare me for this kind of a role. I don't know how can I convey the computer science knowledge that I have to my 5th grade son. So I needed an education. So I ended up this. That's how I found out this. There is a CS50. It's a computer science course for the MIT first year kids. Those kids who do not know the computer science, this course is meant to introduce them to the wonderful world of programming. There I came to know. I logged in, I joined the course and came out after 2 weeks because that was good enough. That's what I wanted to know. So this is another advantage of this course. You are not committing like complete 12-week continuation. I just joined, attended 2 weeks classes, came out. Because in 2 weeks I found the answer. The example that I'm going to give you is, they taught in those 2 weeks how you can use basic building blocks based programming language to introduce a complex topic like computer science to even a 3rd grader, 4th grader, up to even a person who is entering into first year of college from a non-science stream, for example. The particular example that I want to talk to you about is, for example, you know what Lego pieces are? Lego pieces, the Lego games the students play with. So they connect those 2 Lego pieces and they make some shape. If you connect those Lego pieces to the software and connect that software to the laptop, what you get is you enter into the realm of robotics. So by just joining 2 weeks class, I was able to connect his play games, Lego games, to computer science, into the robotics, which is something new for me also. So I learned something, and I'm now able to convey that science knowledge to him, but just by learning 2 weeks program. So I would say that's a good trade-off of time, and especially you're not paying any money about that. Secondly, quickly, I will talk about the Coursera course. In Coursera, lately I have been 2 things that led me to this Coursera course was, recently I was always troubled by the fact that I studied many subjects which I don't use in my life anymore. For example, mathematics, the differential equation, calculus, integral calculus. I even don't know, for the last 25 years never used it. So sometimes I wonder, did I waste my time like my 4, 5, 6 years, best years of my life, I studied something which I don't use. Secondly, I was intrigued by how really this brain works. So these are two different things. I was like in my free time, I would read book at high level, non-layman person kind of books. So then I came across this course of Coursera. It's called Computational Neuroscience by Washington University. There it's a 12-week course. In that course, the professor taught us how you can use the basic fundamentals of mathematics to create a mathematical model and solve those models on your computer in certain programming languages and interpret those results to understand how brain works. So you are able to use your existing knowledge to derive a new knowledge. So regarding this brain science, for instance, my wife also approves this course because she wants to figure it out, how I forget things, especially those anniversary dates and birthday dates, and more about those mundane things like the grocery list. For instance, she would say, okay, bring these 2 things. To this day, I'm also surprised. I never bring 2 things. I either bring 1 or I bring 4. So she wants to figure it out. Is there some mathematical basis for that? Just on the lighter side, of course. So, to conclude this, I want to sum up my personal belief about this education. I believe that the degree shows you at the max a path on which you travel in your life. And education is the ability to enjoy the journey on that path. And in the words of Steve Jobs, journey is the reward. At the end of life, there are no big ceremonies. The journey itself is the reward. And you don't need any degree to